IndyCar coverage is brought to you by the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Get your tickets in the link in the description and save 20%. And indeed, welcome to day one of my coverage here at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Now, no track activity on Friday, but this doesn't mean that it's not going to be a busy day of announcements and driver interviews. I'm going to be going to the media bullpen that IndyCar is hosting later today, and you'll be seeing a video from that. But yesterday, I arrived in town and headed to the Bridgestone Tower for a special announcement that IndyCar and Firestone made. And that announcement is that Firestone is continuing as the sole tire supplier to IndyCar through the year 2030. And while tires have been an extremely important part of the oval racing in recent weeks, it's even bigger this week because not only do we have one compound of tire, we have two compounds of tire. And I spoke to Firestone's Kara Kostalik about the red and black wall sidewalls, specifically about the difference between the compounds they're bringing here to Nashville versus the last time they tried this at Gateway.
How do we make really good racing in Nashville, have a nice, safe, durable, and consistent tire? Our engineers got together and they said, well, what if we revisited what we did at Gateway, but did it really in a phenomenal way that was going to be noticeable? So the problem with Gateway before, the tire compounds were pretty conservative. There were not a lot of difference between them. We told our compounders, our compound engineer has been with us for over 20 years, and told them to swing for the fences on this. So we're going to have a tire that will wear. It may even wear out before the end of the field stint. So you may see people coming in and changing them, and then IndyCar has worked with pit windows to try to ensure that teams will run at least two stints on an alternate tire. So we have that little bit difference on the alternate tire, and then the grip level is going to be different too. So you're going to have a little bit more initial grip, and then you're going to have that wear. So hopefully it's going to make some good passing opportunities, and then pit strategies will be different because you're going to wear the tires at a different rate. A driver that can take care of their tires is going to be able to make them last longer during the end of a stint than somebody who goes out, drives them really hard in a lap or two, and then wears the tires off early.
So IndyCar brought a couple of drivers to the presentation, and they're pretty good drivers to hear from, specifically about the Nashville Superspeedway. First up is Scott Dixon. I don't know if we call him a 3 or a 4-time winner of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. But at least on the Nashville Superspeedway, in the last 3 times that IndyCars have raced there, 2006, 2007, and 2008, Scott Dixon was unbeaten. He returns as the 3-time defending champion, going for a 4th in a row at the Nashville Superspeedway. So here's what Scott Dixon had to say, not only about the Nashville Superspeedway and his history there, but also about the tire compound choice and how this will help the racing.
But we're back on the oval, and you haven't been beaten in, 3 years?
Yeah.
But it's been a while.
Yeah, so. It's 15 years ago or something along those lines. So it's a little time has passed, but I think we could definitely go back to back, even with the 15-year separation. But I think more importantly, it's kind of fun to end the season at an oval because we haven't done it for a little while. Even though I'd say Nashville Street Course would have been just as wild as any oval that we come across. So hopefully we get some good weather, man.
So reflect a little bit on your previous wins at Nashville. I know it was a while ago, but maybe just from the perspective of how much the series has changed since then and how much change you've seen.
I think everything changes, right? Whether it's the way we race to the cars. The cars were a lot different, a lot lighter, smaller. Probably a little less power and things like that to what we have now. Raceability, we'll have to wait and see. I think if we can have a race like we did at Milwaukee, that was fantastic. And I think, this is again on the cusp of being like that, just depending on, what the degradation is like. But yeah, it's evolved a lot. That is the hard part going into this weekend, is you really don't know which way it's going to swing or how familiar it's going to be. The course is the same. That definitely hasn't changed. The concrete, kind of that vibration that you got going. A few little more bumps around here and there, but I'm looking forward to it.
You talked about, a big topic, we're in the Firestone building, right, or the Bridgestone building, the tires. And that was a big thing at Milwaukee. Another wrinkle to it this weekend where we're doing alternate tires again. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but at Gateway the last time they tried it, wasn't necessarily a big window between the black wall and the red wall tires. So what kind of product does Firestone really need to bring to get that separation, but also not create marbles? Because I think if you go too far, it'll kind of create the wrong scenario.
Yeah, I think there won't be that much of a separation, I imagine. You're still going to have to come here on the cautious side for the fact that you haven't been here for a while.
Sure.
So you're not going to go to the extremes. Even saying that, I think St. Louis was pretty similar, but still there was a big, difference in degradation. And that's actually what helped us win that race, was that we were able to kind of look after that tire, do a full stint, eliminate a pit stop, and then almost win by a whole lap. So there could be that element that comes in this year, for this race. You got to run 2 sets of those as well, so that could change it. Ultimately, with the second lane, as long as people start using it from the get-go, like we saw at Milwaukee and other races in the past, then that's going to be be totally fine and usable for the rest of it.
And there's no doubt about it, Joseph Newgarden has been captain headline this year. But he really should be the headline here because, of course, Joseph Newgarden, born and raised in the Nashville area, calls Nashville his home to this day. So here's Joseph Newgarden, not only speaking about the importance of IndyCar racing in this market, but I also asked him about the tires as well.
The Nashville Superspeedway was a fun track to go to. I've always wanted the chance to drive there, and I've never had the opportunity, so this weekend seems fitting to finally get that shot. And I think the great thing is we're still here in the vicinity of Nashville. We're going to be utilizing this city to end the championship, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's good for our series. I think it's good for this town. And whether it's at the Superspeedway or it's somewhere else in this vicinity in the future, I think we've got to have a race in this territory. So it's a big thanks to Scott Borchetta, Big Machine, everybody that's involved in it. I think it's a good thing that we're here.
So it's kind of, it's hard to ask you this question, but I think you probably saw in the replay, right, how great the racing was at Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's talking about that, kind of hyped up about this race because we're hopeful that we'll see a similar show here. So, you've done some of the testing out on the Superspeedway. What do you think IndyCar needs to nail that magic formula this weekend and have a really exciting championship race?
The tough thing is the right formula for an oval race to create a passing environment is always changing. It is constantly changing. Every year, there's certain things you have to adjust to. So I think if we could nail the recipe every time, we would. Yep. We'd put that formula together. But you're just always having to constantly adjust things to find something right. It's very possible. I think Gateway was a really good show for us, and so was Milwaukee. So it's definitely possible. We can get it right. Sometimes, look, you can't have every race perfect. Yeah, I think that's just the nature of racing, right? You're never going to have an amazing race every single time. But I think more times than not, this series is able to produce a really good show. And I think for Nashville, it remains to be seen if we got the recipe right. We've tested here a couple times. I think Firestone's going to do their best to bring what we believe is the right package. If it's not right, then we'll adjust it and try and come back next year with a better package. But I think we'll have a good opportunity to have a good race. But just again, if we don't get it perfect, sometimes that's how it goes, and you got to come back the next year and just try again.
And now finally from both Dixon and Newgarden. I couldn't ask them for a championship pick because I thought it would be biased. Of course, you're going to pick the Ganassi car if you're Ganassi, and you're going to pick the Penske car if you're with Penske. That's just natural. But both of those drivers have competed for championships in the past and won them. So I asked them the question, would you rather be in Will Power's position where you're chasing a championship, or would you rather be in Alex Palou's where you're defending a championship?
You know Alex Palou and Will Power very well. I guess I will ask you, because you're going to give me a biased answer if I ask you who's going to win. But I'll ask you this question. You've been in championship fights before. Do you want to be going into the final race in Alex Palou's position where you're leading the championship and could lose it, or do you want to be the attacker like Will Power and really have to just fight and win and the rest will take care of itself?
I think I've done it both ways. The leading portion is maybe a little more stressful, but I think going into the last race, you always want to be leading. I think it's done and dusted, man. I think Power got his miracle at Milwaukee.
I asked Scott the same question. I won't ask you who's going to win the championship because I'm expecting a biased answer there. But you've competed for a championship before. what's the better position to be in? Do you want to be in Alex Palou's position, leading the championship and being able to protect it, or do you want to be Will Power, where you can kind of throw caution to the wind and go for it?
I mean, well, obviously, Palou's in a dominant position.
Yes.
You know, if you're going to choose between the two, I think you choose the points gap that he has every day of the week. Even from a stress standpoint, you know, he's got enough of a gap that it's so protected. Of course, anything could happen. You know, I think there's a great opportunity for Will to still win this championship, but the odds are not in his favor, and it's not in his control. The championship is within Alex's control right now, so he has that going for him. But look, for us as a team, we got to put our best foot forward. You know, if we're in that position where we can, you know, help Will win the championship, we're going to try and do that. But we've just got to run our race and see where everything falls at the end of it.
So very busy next 3 days. Obviously going to be speaking to more drivers later on this evening. You'll see more from that later today. We've also got 2 days of track activity, Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday is supposed to be busy. We're a little bit concerned about the weather. Keep it here for reports. I'm working with the Big Machine Group to get you guys the weather reports as quickly as I can about status updates and change of plans if indeed it happens. But it's starting to look like Sunday weather-wise is going to be favorable for us, so we're really looking forward to it. I think Sunday's going to be a fantastic race. First time since 2014 a champion will be decided on an oval track. I think it's going to be super, super exciting, and we hope that the Firestone tires do exactly what we want them to do and produce an awesome race. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later this evening for more driver interviews and, of course, track activity beginning tomorrow. We'll see you then.